This is in Turkey today, August 17th. Hello, Leslie. All right, howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. All right, so here we are with today, August 17th. Let me scroll up here. There we go. August 17th, 2024. We're going to let that loop run for a second here. I'm going to take a moment to thank you guys, even in replay, for taking a moment of your precious time to be here with this precious family. Okay, we got a lot of info to cover tonight, and I'm thankful that you guys take a moment of your time to be here to deal with this important information. Okay, can be disturbing. That's why it's important you stick around till the end of the show for the spiritual report as well, to give you strength to handle the disturbing news of the day. So, meanwhile, let's get into it here. For those with eyes that see, you can clearly see a couple of things going on there. Let me just kill that. That was going on in the background. All right. So let me just catch this opening frame here. Scooch down. Catch this opening frame, and we'll go through this frame by frame. Whoops. Hit too soon. There we go. I think there was 024, August 17th, 2024. Okay, opening frame. And you can see we have this weird little streak kind of going across this way, but that's not what we're reporting on as we go. Last night we reported on this, the opening frames of this and this material going inward. Okay. And we got a little satellite moon or something right there passing through. And this streak actually goes right by it, kind of pointing at it. Hey, this thing right here. Meanwhile, that's not what we're really here to capture. You can see there's something else in there too. Anyways, let's continue on. Whoopsie. Meanwhile, coming off the top here, now this is what's tricky about these ones coming off the top, is I got to use the buttons down below. So what we're going to do here is try to get a good frame. And then kind of scroll up here, do a little zooming around. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay, you can see we have another object coming out. You can see our plasma streaking out this way. Something going on bigger in the background with a small little satellite right here. You can see some of this plasma reaching out, going around. And what I'm going to try to do here is use my buttons instead. But this, it's going to jump a little bit. Trying to keep it in line there as best I can. You see how this little moon has kind of split this little plasma band right there? And then I want to keep, whoops, dang it, this little bar is a little tricky here, so bear with me as we go through these closing frames. You can see our bigger black object back here. Okay, so there's a faint, remnant of it right there with the little moon satellites attached. What we can do is kind of do that right there. We don't need all the white kind of drowning it out. But you can see your spread. You can see your plasma reaching out to it, kind of bending and going right up the face of it right here. Okay, and then highlighting these little moons and satellites that are around it. This is your first event right here, okay? And we'll continue to kind of plug through this the best we can here. As it moves on out of frame, then we have our next event. There's a good shot right there. You can see our black round sphere right here. See this 3 prongs of like plasma coming up and reaching. Actually, 4 of them, almost like something holding a goblet, or like a little tripod holding a spheroid. Oh, kind of like, well, I got something similar right here sitting on my desk. Something like that holds a spheroid type plasma structure right there. You can make out another satellite right there. So hopefully you can see that structure I'm talking about. You can see our curvature, the black objects, or bigger one right here. Okay, little satellites streaking with plasma going along with it. And we're going to continue. See how this plasma is all reaching out in different little directions, kind of grabbing it, almost like fingers holding up a bowling ball or something. Well, kind of like that little stand I just showed you there. Let's pull that down a little bit. Okay, black round, bigger one right here. Here's a little moon satellite right there. See the plasma around it, kind of painting it as well. Let's go right up in close on this thing now. That's as zoomage as I can get. We're going to slide it over and see if we can see any life on these planets. No. But you can see plasma flowing around them. They're magnetic as well, so the plasma like adheres to them, or they latch on to some of it. Okay, right there. And there's the structure down below. See, here's a little moon down here following along. Something else right down there, it appears. All right. Let's zoom back and pull back a little bit. Okay. Well, we're going to have to use the buttons again because that's just clear up at the top and we're going to lose it if we don't. So just bear with me here. Sorry we got to do it this way, but at least we still get to see it here. So, whoops. I want this. Then you can see some of the moon scatter. And that moves on out of frame. We also have other satellites that got torn off, ricocheting off in different directions. All right, so let me unzoom so we can use the arrows instead of the button. Or the button instead of the arrows. How about that? Because the arrows move the whole frame. So there was that event. Let's back it up a little bit now that we're pulled back. Going kind of backwards so you can get to the front, and then we'll hit start. Whoops. Reverse. I'm trying to hit reverse right here. Tricky. Thank you. All right, there it goes. We can just kind of do that. Because that's most of the activity coming off the top right there. And I'll just let that play a couple more loops. You can see how the plasma draped around the front of that object along with its little moon. Okay, when this stuff's in motion, it tends to paint it a little clearer. Okay, it's like painting a target almost, but this target's invisible and has to be silhouetted or painted with plasma in order to reveal it. Okay. So two of them just interacted with the sun there. And we had one last night too. Okay, so bing, bing, and then something else, little moons or whatever tearing away over there. Okay, so there's that for now. Now let's come on over to our G3 storm. I did a couple of broadcasts earlier today, some updates and stuff about this storm. It was predicted to come in on the 18th. Some people were suggesting maybe early arrival on the 17th. Okay. Meanwhile, we were discussing this G1 right here possibly being stronger than a G1 because of the object that travels along with it. Okay. Well, the event happened on the 14th. So this is 3 days later. I don't know why they were saying the 18th, maybe because they didn't do their calculations right or whatever. But here we go. This day was forecasted a G0, okay? Not G1. We've seen a threefold increase today, okay? From G0 to G3. This was totally unexpected for the solar community, but not really here. Not a surprise here. I was expecting maybe here at this one with their arrival date here. But as we remember, there was two little impact waves coming. So this G3 should not surprise here. Well, it surprises everybody else. I'm going to show you and explain why. I think I already did. Most of the people are here already that saw that anyway. So if we have to, we can rehash that if you want to see that. Meanwhile, let's move forward a little bit in reverse. Solar flux index is up at 230. It went up 5 more points. Sunspot count is 169 and up 5 more points. Okay, so we're starting to see both of these increase slightly. Not much, 5 points each. But they're on the rise, not on the fall. Meanwhile, let's pop this sucker open and zoom in on it. Okay, thank you for your patience, you guys. You're awesome, by the way. Everybody else got all these high-tech little things, and I got to do it all rinky-dink. Meanwhile, 3784, the inverted polarities bipolar sunspot, okay? Still here, creeping out of range. Okay, this one won't hit our IMF line because our IMF line hooks up down on the southern hemisphere, southern part of the southern hemisphere of the sun. Okay, see what I'm saying? So I don't think our IMF line will hook up to this. But meanwhile, it's still not out of range. Okay, and there's still these objects are nearby. They're latching on to the sun and causing weird sunspot activity. Each one of these is probably some little object with a magnetic field that's, tugging on the sun. And when we come back to this, you see the spires right here, right? That's where the sunspots are, right? Because they're ejecting a bunch of extra radiation, right? Those spires coincide with your sunspots, okay? And those spires are indicators of incoming objects. Not every time, but like a compass needle, they tend to point at inbound objects, okay? Some of the darker spots do too as well. So this dark patch, and you see stuff coming out of the dark patch right there, it's because it's absorbing light in that region. Wow, you could kind of see it on that up there. That was ghostly. Let's go in a little bit on that really quick. I just saw something. Just let that play a couple times real quick. Oh! I'm just going to let that play. I'll let you guys be here. Let's go in a little tighter. Get rid of some of that white in the background. Yeah, you can see them. You can even see them on this instrument here. If we can get just a little bit. There we go. Nice. Wow. Yeah, you can even see them on that. You can see all the plasma that they're grabbing and that the moons are latching on to as well, or satellites. Okay. Same copy as what's going on over here, but you can see the ghostly traces of it here in the plasma on this side as well. Yeah. NASA, you got some explaining to do. But you'll never get a straight answer. At least we get some satellite imagery out of them. They used to block the UFOs and stuff out, but I think they gave up on that now. All right, so we're at the right zoomage. So there's your activity for today. All right, pretty crazy stuff. Oh, I wanted to talk about this secondary one. When it leaves, look at the plasma spaghettification behind it. See that structure, that tubular structure? It reminds me of like those little plant watering bulbs that have a glass tube that's all one piece. It's a tube and a glass bulb that you fill with water and then you stick it in upside down in the soil. See that structure right there? Yeah. That teardrop tubular type structure coming off right there. So, an indicator that there's objects there causing that. That's not just your sun spitting out a CME, okay? Burping out why is the sun just all of a sudden, causing sunspots and burping out all this activity? It's because there's other extracurricular activity that's inducing it. Okay, bingo. These things are the spires that point out, and they're hooked up to some of these objects. What else would be causing an inverted polarity? It has to overpower the sun in order to have the inverted polarity. So it's got to be bigger than the sun to overpower it and change this and make this kind of structure. I want to hear explanations from the rest of the solar community on exactly how this happened. Because I'm pretty sure stuff like this coming, approaching the sun and then coming off of it would cause, some of these spire activities as those two magnetic fields intertwine. Bingo. All right, so let's pull on back a little. No, 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 no. Go backward here. Now, what it do is come on over and slide on down to our GOES X-ray flux. Okay, so there's X-ray flux for the night. What is blocking this? Oh, I see. All right. Meanwhile, doesn't really represent what we saw today, okay? Because, well, this takes readings from in between the sun and us, and some of that activity is, outside the bounds of this instrument. So, but there's your GOES X-ray flux, a little M flare, a little longer duration M flare, but not long, just a slow motion M flare. And then we got this activity right here going into tomorrow. Now, there's a pretty healthy spike right there. Would you guys like to take a little peek at what's going on already into tomorrow? Want to take a little peek into the future? You don't? No? You don't want to see what happened here? Really? Because you come back over here. Look, it's right there. We could even refresh it and get every last little frame of data. You sure you don't want to look at this, huh? Well, tough. We're going to look at it anyway. Just playing along. You guys are good sport. And doesn't appear much. We only got 6 frames, that's why. There's something else going on after this, because this only goes up to 120 or something. Yeah, there's some missing data. And it might be coming out of this region or over here. Who knows? Maybe, dang, we got cheated. We got cheated, you guys. Sorry, I hyped it up because that right there, that's right where it stopped too. It was this this event. How convenient. All right, well, I'll just overcome adversity and back on out and finish the report because we got way too much to cover tonight. This is going to be a long show. Hope you got your popcorn. Hope you went to the bathroom during the intermission there, or the introduction. Now, our unexpected G3 storm, because of solar activity. I showed you earlier on the 14th what came off there, but here we are back to this again. Real quick, here's the 14th. Boom, big object, and then really big one now. Okay. You see the big spread here. This is a big boy right there. And it brings a lot of radiation and stuff when it comes with it. Plus, it's little moons that are magnetized, grab a bunch. Okay. So this sucker, the CME hits us, but then this brings a lot with it too. Okay. And that's what they're not detecting, or that's what they're not expecting. Okay. Jeremy Christopher, I know that name. Well, welcome here, sir. Back to this. Look at all these little moons that are caught up in the, over here. You can see them still latching onto plasma, these little bubbles right in here. They're so bright they're getting washed out on this side. All right. But this event, okay, was on the 14th. I usually stick with the 3 days, okay, and for a reason. A lot of this stuff is biblical, okay, and when you understand God's a stickler about the 3 days later, 3 days here, 3 days, 3 days. So it's odd how it takes most of this stuff 3 days to reach the planet. So I just kind of stick with that. And this happened on the 14th, all right, and we got impact on the 17th. That's why I kind of sometimes when they say G0, I'm like, really? Did you see what came off the sun today? Are you guys paying attention? So, no surprise really here at this channel. Now, this G1, we're going to talk about that because that could change as well. And then going into August 19th, I wouldn't even go out that far. I wouldn't even start predicting stuff when you can't even hit this day or that day. So, let's just pray that it goes G0. I do not like to see high numbers like this, okay? It's not good for the planet, all right? We get side effects from it. Wow, what is that? Oh, it's the donkey down the street. All right, meanwhile, XLR potential 20%, 70 on the M flare. Um, Over here now at our G3 storm, here's our impact, all right? And it came down pretty good, but see it kind of climbing again. So what we're going to do here before we go any further, here's your impact right here. It went down, but it's starting to climb back up again, all right? And now hold that in the back of your mind as we come down here to our tracker. And I don't really need to see the impact anymore because, well, we already had impact, but I do want to pull up this little instrument and remind you of this is the shape of the impact that was expected, okay? So we're going to get the first, I don't want to load it, I just want this sitting here. This first bump would be the M flare with the X flare behind it. Okay. If they merge, it would be a, whoa, whoa, like that. But they have a tendency to split sometimes because they magnetically, repel each other at a certain point. They get really close, but then they won't touch. There'll be a little divider in between them sometimes. Not every time. But what I've seen a lot lately, there is more of a dip, more like this. Okay, this is stereo A, but this kind of dip is what we might expect to see here. All right, that then coming over back to our KP. So here's your first little one. It dips and then it might climb back up for the X flare impact. So we might see on the 18th here, instead of G1, we might see G4 because this increased by 3. Well, if this increases by 3, that would put tomorrow at a G4. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this, I'm not trying to predict anything. And if tomorrow is a G4, I won't be excited because I got it right. I will be pissed because we are taking on too much energy. I don't want this to happen. All right. I'm just trying to kind of explain a little what to possibly expect, okay? Hopefully, our magnetic field stays strong and we shed a lot of this. If the BZ component doesn't line up, or the BZ component sometimes doesn't matter. And this energy hits the magnetic field of the planet no matter what. The BZ is not going to, it might shed a little bit, but it's still going to have side effects. Okay, so G3, G1 tomorrow. Don't be surprised if there's enhancement of this one tomorrow. Okay, what? Well, let's go to the, that would be the 15th. Okay. But that was because of the X flare on the 14th. But see, let's go to the 15th and see what happens here on the 15th. Oh, more activity. This slow motion event with the ram's head here and the horns. Remember this one the other night? And then that big old blast, that could bring something as well. All right. So even though, I used to be able to kind of get a better idea of the trajectories of these objects when we had a different angle from stereo A. But now stereo A is so close to it that it's hard to do any kind of, accurate measurement. There is also something bigger. See this spread? Something going on in that. All right, so that's why watch out. It possibly be stronger that day. Said it enough times. Moving on. Right now, Aurora's kind of there. It should be a little yellower, a little stronger because we're still in this. In fact, that should be updated a little bit more by now. We'll check it again at the end of the show. Meanwhile, sunspots to watch, 3790 is still beta gamma, okay, but 3784 are bipolar morphism. Beta gamma delta is declining and rotating away. Now, what looks to be the shock of passage was just detected by the ACE spacecraft. This should be related to the first faint halo CME associated with the X1.3 flare on August 14th. The solar wind speed increased by around 100 kilometers per second to 430 kilometers per second, and the BZ component of the interplanetary magnetic field, the IMF line, is also pointing south, at least initially. More details to follow. Okay. Well, that was unexpected. The CME impact was expected tomorrow. So hitting today was unexpected. The strong G3 geomagnetic storm threshold was reached at 1746 UTC on August 17th. And although the CME that passed Earth was expected, the intensity of the storm was not. The solar wind is showing a nice spike in plasma density, and the speed increased again to nearly 470 kilometers per second. Should the BZ tip south, a prolonged period of storming could potentially be observed. KP index is 7. All right. You see that here. Let's see if we can pull this up really quick. Oh, that kind of crazy. Whoopsie. It's not even showing up here. Just these quick, intense readings right here. A little different than what they're used to seeing. All right. So there's your G3. Okay, CME passage with said object accompanying it. All right, so let's move on to our spaceweather.com now. All right, you guys are hanging tough. Now, the strong geomagnetic storm, ACME hit Earth's magnetic field on August 17th. We've talked about that, sparking a brief but strong G3 geomagnetic storm. The timing was bad for both Europe and North American sky watchers because daylight washed out what must have been a widespread aurora display. Well, sorry you missed your auroras. Meanwhile, the planet's going to explode from the inside out. Anyways, the timing was bad. Daylight washed it out. The CME was hurled towards Earth 3 days ago. How many days ago? It was hurled towards Earth 3 days ago by an X1 solar flare from sunspot AR 3784. That's why I stick with 3 days. Okay, rocket fuel, that's that same little image that we saw before. Okay, SpaceX. Yeah, come over and read that article. Give this guy a good shout out too. All right, now let's come on over to Schumann. Yes, again. This blast that we kind of finished off with, a little bit last night. Here's today. Pretty nice and smooth. That's a good readings right there. Little skip, little bit of scratching right there, but not much. I think it chirped the tires going out the driveway a little bit or something. But meanwhile, this was a bunch of pressure that got taken on, relieved a little bit, and then built up again and tapered off. All right, so big hit right here. Pressure that really kind of messed people up a little bit there. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but half this society is just like in a trance or just zombified or just unaware, I guess. Anyways, today, for the last while, we've had some good continuity here. All right, got a little break there. But we got other stuff that just came in, going to be absorbed, going to grind again. So it's just this up and down roller coaster, very intense sometimes. You think it's fading away, but then another even more intense bout. All right, so this can wreak havoc on your mood, and if you're handling it well, it can wreak havoc on others' moods, and they will snap out of character. Okay, so this affects people, the animals. It's our regular frequency of 7.83. Super strong. White denotes the intensity. 7.83 runs this green line. All right, let's just go like that and put this through there. It went strong, weak, kind of strong, weak, kind of strong, weak, really super strong, weak, and now really super strong. So it's just this constant roller coaster ride on your body, on your emotions, on other people's bodies' emotions, on the animals, on everything. And then pressure builds down below, relieves, the earth expands, and then contracts and expands and then contracts. It's just this cycle we're stuck in. So, pretty smooth day today. Felt good too. Ugh. All right, I could use a break sometimes. I love the battle. Don't get me wrong. A day of rest is nice. So, I'm still a battle though, even while I'm at rest. Look at this well defined storm right there, right on the edge of our thing that we were talking about earlier that I showed you, our weather enhancement anomaly. Okay, so there's our storm right there. I want to take a peek over at this one. Whoops, whoa. Sorry. Who put acid in YouTube? All right, there we go. There's this storm pulling away from Japan now, getting caught up in our conveyor belt and pulling away. We also have this little vorticity pulling it up this way too. So we'll see which route it takes. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But a lot of our weather being induced by the thermal anomalies down below. And let's see what kind of face we got today. This crazy eye, big old goofy nose. Oh wait, it's Robert De Niro, and that's his wart right there on his cheek. No, I'm joking. But it looks like, I don't know, goofy. Meanwhile, you see all of our little flow activity. Ooh, look at this. We got a vortex getting very organized right here. And then look off here the coast of Australia here. They're getting something as well. And then look at that. That's going to be, well, it did. I'm glad you guys like to laugh along with me. I do have a sense of humor, by the way. Where do you think your sense of humor came from? Okay, so what I want to do now is we're going to park it right about there. We're going to switch over to our sandstorms, particulates. And then I heard somebody thinking today, oh my gosh, you guys are thinking so hard and so loud. If these are particulates, how come they're quelling the activity? Don't particulates enhance the activity? Very good question, all right? Because I heard that out there today. The size of the particle really matters. Okay, when we come to particulates, here's like 1 micron, 2.5 microns, 10 microns. Organic material, our SO4, that's a particulate that bonds with water. Oops. And then our sand, which is pretty big. All right. Your sand particulates actually turn, when they hit the water in the air, turn it to mud more than actually producing more rain droplets. Therein, that's how they quell the thunderstorm height. All right, we're talking convection heights. When convection heights get really high, that's when you start to see some rotation in these storms. That's when they get stronger. The sand keeps your convection heights down because it's a thicker particulate. When the water tries to adhere to it, it turns to mud and falls out of the sky real quick, all right? It doesn't really enhance like small ash particles would, okay? So I heard that thought out there today. Whoever, well, I know who it was, and you know who it was. I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are. Anyways, and question answer. That was a great question. And do you understand that the size of the particulate, when you're adding silica and water together, you're getting mud. When you add an ash particle or any kind of like tiny micron, here's 1 micron. Okay, then all of a sudden this stuff adheres to the water droplets in the air because it's a smaller particle, and then it stays aloft. See what I'm saying? It's smaller and it stays aloft. When it hits this other sand, that kind of quenches that fire. Okay, but I'm glad somebody was thinking out there, and hopefully I answered your question appropriately there, okay? Now, moving on. Here is our sandstorm. We do have this break in it right here, but here's another intense plume going on. What's different is, well, our vorticity that was here off the coast that was breaking this up, is still kind of there, but this flow is starting to break up and continue to go across. See this next wave right here that I'm circling? That next wave is kind of broken off of this, is getting pushed by these back into our old, our old conveyor system, okay? But we do have a break right here. Watch out for some kind of storm to try to develop in between these two breaks of sand. And then after that, we should be covered for a minute. As long as this doesn't come out and recoil and turn back around and come in and just shut off that sand faucet right there. But it's like a sand faucet. It's a faucet that's shooting out sand, but it looks like our flow has, broken away from this rotation, pulling it back in to now spreading out and going into our barrier islands. Sorry about the yellow there. My computer doesn't like it too much, but there we go. There's your sandstorm structure. Now over here, things are about to get really crazy and really ugly. This is all, look, I need to take off the wind here. Okay, very intense sandstorm, half of Saudi Arabia, all of Oman, Yemen, okay, up in here into Iran, Iraq, all that area, Turkey. All right, we just seen the fires at Turkey. I was telling you to watch out, Turkey, there, because, well, they're playing with fire, and sure enough, they're getting burned. But as we go through here, you can see I'll put our wind pattern back on now. Our little hotspot down at the tip of India has been like a saving grace. It's no longer slamming India. It's actually splitting up and going to the north and splitting and going to the south, keeping this region sand part at least down, to a lower level. All right, this new vortice we're going to have to check out on the thermal. It's going to be interesting tonight. All right, so then meanwhile, back up here, really intense sand going on right now. Something else I want to talk about too is these objects when they pass. Whoopsie, I don't want that. Let's just leave it right here where our main sandstorm is. All right, when these objects pass, they have an electromagnetic attraction, okay? Which when you take silica, which is sand, it also can hold an electric charge. That's why they use it in our processors and computers. Silica holds an electric charge. So when these electromagnetic events happen, the silica gets like a static charge to it and becomes not lighter than air, but lighter than it usually is, lighter than sand. Now you have our increased wind speeds because of particulate storm increased activity, right? Increases winds around the planet. Now you have a lighter sand with stronger winds. Now we're having sandstorms. This sandstorm lasted all winter. That's never happened before. And it's still going. Every day it's going. And thankfully it is. And as long as the air currents here don't turn it around, we need that faucet of sand open to kind of quell this kind of activity. Meanwhile, that little gap might see something, okay? How many times did you say it, Brian? Enough? Move on, dude. SO2. I'll take off the wind for that. Sorry, I'm struggling today. Just bear with me. All right, here we go. Here's our country divided. You can see it bleeding out on one side over here, and then, pockmarked over here from, these are perforations in the crust. Over here, the soil's a lot softer, and it just naturally perforated, okay? See that? And it's a good representation of this country, too. This half has got some issues. This half is trying to be free. Well, there's your country divided. Every time. All right, so we're coming in for a landing up here. And let's land on some fires. Up here, still pretty concentrated. Okay, SO2 emissions come out of the ground so hot that they dry out the foliage around it. They also could cause just spontaneous combustion. All right. Not only does SO2 come out of the ground that surrounds the magma down below, but methane is another gas that surrounds the magma down below that comes up out of the ground. And methane is already a flammable gas. And when it hits the air, it's so hot that it comes out of the ground already on fire. All right, if you've seen some of these images of methane emissions in a swamp, you'll see it boiling, bloop, 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 and there's fire coming out of the water. That's a methane emission. Well, a methane emission, much like an SO2 emission, they're very hot, and methane's already on fire. So some of these spots could be started from, most of these are started right here by the SO2 emissions. Some spots don't have fires yet. It's not, there's not enough foliage next to it or whatever. But as we go down, you can see that this fire activity happens, quite often at very intense sites. Okay. It's been traveling down from Canada, moving down into Oregon and Washington area. Sorry, let me just pay attention to what I'm doing here. Okay. Moving down into the Washington area, more into Oregon here, where we had our new opening, our new weak spot, our new emission site. Some of these emission sites could be weak spots for earthquakes as well, because they're an emission site. They're a weak spot. Okay, fires in this zone now. We got SO2 right there. And now we got fires in that area. It had crept down into California. Okay, we had the park fire up here that was sparked by it. They finally got that under control. This area had a fire. That one's under control now. But if you look down here, here we go again. Another fire down here in Southern California, and there's a SO2 emission, strong one right there. Now it had crept down even down into Mexico, down into these spots, but I don't see much of that activity more. This right here looks like a spot though. Yeah. Even though it's not right in the middle of the purple, that's a spot. That's a fire. Let's see what's going on up here. Nothing. Okay, so we did see some of that fire activity creep east of the line, but that retreated, and I haven't seen any of it return lately since. And it's retreated from creeping so far south, except for down here. You're going to want to see that. Boom. Or that region. All right, take the fires off. Let's get back to the SO2. See Mexico, Cuba, also Jamaica. Very intense spot. We saw finally some earthquake activity at Jamaica. All right, and then Cuba's all purple, much like Java, but we don't see a lot of earthquake activity around this. There's no plate boundary. It just farts a lot of SO2, a lot of sulfur, rotten egg smell coming out of those regions. Right there, coming on down the west coast of South America. This area kind of cleared out. It had a bunch, but they cleared out after a big quake. So that quake, relieved a lot, shifted some stuff maybe in that region, plugged up a lot of those holes. But meanwhile, here at our fulcrum point is our good emission site. Okay, nice and strong tonight. Our middle one, pretty strong. Outside one pretty strong. Our latest new addition, this fifth one here, not really strong, but definitely there. Okay, so we had a lot of pressure. We get a lot of gas come out of the ground. Meanwhile, down here, you can see all this is still intense, and then all that gas blows out into the ocean there. But it keeps the pressure equalized in this area and keeps the magnitude quake magnitude on this plate boundary here. It keeps those magnitudes down. Okay, bingo. Good emissions out of Oahu today. Even Maui's got some. Hawaii still trying to emit as much as it can. We have a lot of microquaking and about to have maybe some volcanic activity there if we get another round of pressure here come up through there. Okay, which we're due one here after this G3 that we got today. Okay. Oh, let me go back. Is there a face there? Yeah, kind of. But let's move on. Now, let's back up for their time zone for this region. Go. All right, here's China having their issues, of course. Go this area, just all none at all, but it has spread up into this region now, even climbing even further and further north. All right. We have all these intense sites way up north now. I showed you all the heat area coming out of this part up here at the top of the world. Well, look at these emission sites right on the ocean right here. Oh, wait, there's the ocean up there. This is along like a mountain ridge right here, sorry. But here's way up here at the top of the world. Pretty strong emission sites there. There's the boundary right here in Russia. Okay. And they're having their fire issues as well. As we come on in, India's intensifying. It's getting darker and darker overall each day. It's got its stronger emission sites. Okay. They could see earthquake activity possibly here soon, too. China, they got their issues. But here we are. Let's stop off at Taiwan. Taiwan still emitting lots of SO2. We've seen a shift at this area. It was, jammed up for a while. We did have a good sized quake out of there, and then ever since we've seen heat plumes and a lot of SO2s. So it's not necessarily relieving quakes or pressure as far as quakes, but our relief spot is doing some SO2 and some heat emissions. It goes all the way up through Japan. Of course, Japan's a volcanic island. Here's a little bit up in Kamchatka. It's not much because we got so much activity going on up there. But what we want to do is come down here to the purple island of Java really quick. Take a peek in here. Yeah, we got pretty good, healthy purplage today. Pretty strong right here. These two vents, Semaru and Merapi. These little islands doing their job. And then, yeah, it's good. Australia having their little spots now here and there. Tasmania still. Okay. And then the island of New Zealand coming alive. Where else did I want to show more? Oh, here, down by South Africa, still got some down there. Okay. All right, so now let's head on over to our ocean. Everybody take a deep breath. One more. And exhale. Now. There you go. Okay. So there's your thermal anomaly patterns right there. Ow. Sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to make the noise. Sorry, I get sharp pains every once in a while. I feel like a voodoo doll, somebody stabbing me with a needle or whatever. All right, here we are. This whole structure right here has, kind of comma shape coming back. Okay, the tail had kind of detached and was weakening and going away, but now that plume is starting to reattach. So we're getting more of this comma structure out here with more of these kind of like finger type appendages coming off. See these reaching out towards the west coast, even ones coming up from here, reaching up down through there, really encroaching on this whole area. There's cold water inundation right there, trying its best to hold it off. But look, we need some quake activity here on the Juan de Fuca, and like soon. You might just have some quake activity. It won't be on the Juan de Fuca. It'll be a little bit further out, and you'll never see the Juan de Fuca again. Here's Merapi doing its thing, just spewing all kinds of heat there. This almost looks like a wolf with an eye, ears, the nose, some kind of dog or wolf. There's a couple different weird things in that one. Oh, yeah. Anyways, let's come over here to Taiwan. Help me, Lord. Why are you doing that? So we got all this heat coming out of the bottom of the ocean floor around our fulcrum point. So we need to see a lot of quake activity in there because it's building. Hmm. Okay. Meanwhile, heat anomalies out in this region. Look at this island now. It's got a big old heat plume growing right off the shore. This is on our plate boundary structure. We'll probably see some quake activity in this region here. We need to because you're starting to see emissions out of the ocean floor here in this bay as well. But when we come over to Java, it's doing all the emissions, our relief valve, we got plenty of cool water over here because pressure is being relieved. It doesn't have to bust out of the bottom of the ocean floor. It can be relieved at the plate boundary of the volcanoes. So there's your indicator of pressure being relieved, cold water inundation around the area. Meanwhile, we got this hot spot that is doubled now, kind of 1 and a second off Sri Lanka here, being the agitator that has disrupted that fetch. That southern fetch was going right across here. Now it splits, goes north. Whoops. Now it splits and goes north and south. Okay, and we'll put that wind on in a minute here. Let me just cover all these spots really quick. Meanwhile, our structure over here still fanning out. Kind of looks like a little crown almost. Little fingers coming down here, little finger kind of bleeding down into this region in there. Hopefully you can see that just ever so slightly. Okay, our new hotspot right here, right by the equator, that might disrupt all this La Nina right there. We'll see what happens there. Hot and cold right there next to each other. You're going to see some vortex action there here in a minute, probably. All right, so there is your heat structure. Now let me go ahead and put the winds on. Everybody take a deep breath. And exhale. And there are your corresponding weather patterns, structures, because of our heat anomalies. You got hot water creates hot air above it. Cold water has cooler air above it. Hot air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it, creating vorticity. The vorticity in the air is being conducted or induced by our thermal structures. Okay. And our conveyor belt pattern that we had has been, disrupted and changed all the time now. The other day it was, going straight up through here. Now we got it going at an angle this way. But as you see, weather comes up through here and down and still isn't really coming across the west coast. Most of the weather that comes in this area is being diverted and going back out to sea, thus keeping this region right here very dry and clear weather, hot temperatures, and everything on this line. Recognize that line right there running up the middle of the country, kind of the country divided line right there. Everything on that side's a mess. So you can kind of see these thermal, the patterns can create, havoc areas and protected areas, and just you can see our wind patterns taking their effect because of these. Here's the Atlantics as well. I'll let that sit there for a second and let you kind of watch all the little gyrations going around. This is the one out here I'm concerned with. We don't want this thing turning sand around. We want the sand to stay in that flow pattern and at least choke off any production in there, any production at all. We're plugging along here. We're, you know, midway through August now, a little bit past midway. So we got half of August, September, and October to go of thermal heating from the sun as well and the summertime temperatures. So we're lucky that it's still kind of in this phase and hasn't really accelerated too much. Okay. It's held off on accelerating, really, it has. So that's good. It's not at a good spot right now. So thankfully, there's no more acceleration of this process right now. There is up here, though. That's what's going to be. That's going to melt a lot of ice, you guys. You might see ice chunks break off. There might be tsunamis up in this region just because ice chunk. You have a big old slab right here that breaks off, much like down by Antarctica. It doesn't have to be much. It could splash into the water up there and, send ripples in through that area. But we're going to see, you can see how hot the waters are way up here. This is the Arctic Circle. Okay. And we're seeing SO2 emissions all along this region of land. Well, because all the pressure underneath. Okay. There's hardly any cold water left at the top of the world except for this one little patch right there. Let me take off the wind. Well, I'll just do that. That's like a cat eye right there. When you look at it from further back, it's got a slit in it. Okay, there's that. And one more time with this one. I want to check this out really quick. What's going on down here? Okay, our main conveyor belt that's pulling sand off of Africa, this zone. Right here, this little turnaround, I want this little thing to sever. We don't need this thing turning sand around and putting it back in there. I know it would be nice for them to take their sand back, but it is hampering the hurricane productivity. Buying time for us, I think, is what it's doing. So as long as it's not too strong here and allows sand to stay in this zone right here in that flow right there, it'll continue to hamper stuff. Meanwhile, any kind of break in the sandstorm meets this kind of water right here, it's gonna blossom. Let's go to our standard surface temperatures. You can see all through here, very hot and even hotter in the Gulf. Okay. So there's your pattern, your structure. You can see how it's following this heat structure as well. All right, let's move on. I want to put that back on the SST. Take the wind off. Put it right about there. Okay, now we'll leave it there and come over to our earthquake report now. Okay. So earlier today, I showed you we had our big quake, a 7.0, 7.2, whatever they're going to call it. Please, can we have this, Lord? Thank you. 7.0 here, 7.2, down at 29. This hit right when our G3 storm hit, okay? And then it also, affected the weather with a weird enhancement that I showed you earlier. But let's hop in down here where you usually start. Boom. Deep quake, 614. It's down at 614. That's really deep. And our usual quake is 4.5. We see an increase down at depth up to 5.2. Okay. Very important we take note of this because this could cause more pressure, bigger quakes at the surface. Okay. 5.2 down at depth. Another 5 down at depth, 551, to back it up. Okay, so we had a deep quake that was a 5.2, just a little bit higher than that, right next to it. 5 there. Now, nothing in the entrance of the system so far. This little island right here ventilates SO2. Showed you that before. So, really quiet through this region. I bet you there's volcanoes going off probably pretty good in that region. Coming up here, 4.6 down at 213. A 4.4 at the surface finally, venting some energy there. On the island here, 4.1 at 11. Is that really on land, please, Lord? Yep, it is. We don't need to go too in depth on that one. Our deep little pocket area here sometimes develops a deep quake. There's a 5.0 down at 336. See, it's not at the surface. So some of that 5 energy is still making its way through the strata from 600 up to 500, here to 300. Okay, we see this 5 energy rising up through the strata, hitting little weak spots along the way, knocking volcanoes out, taking turns with volcanoes and everything. Now, really quiet through this zone today, okay? We've seen some activity through there, the 3.5s the other day, and a couple over here that relieved a lot of energy. We did see a lot of cold water around Java, so it's doing its job. It's kind of quiet today. And then here we go. 4.6 down at 39. I love to see that because it's close to this. Finally, a quake here. 4.7 at the surface. Fulcrum point quake, relieving energy. We need to see more of that. That's not enough. Over here, we have a 4.8 at the surface, relieving more energy. Okay, then we had our quake swarm up there. Before you finish up that, just really quick, fulcrum point 4.4 and 4.1. There is actually a crack, big old plate boundary crack that runs right along there, and then it ends right there. And there's your quake, right? Pretty much right next to it or right at it. You're 41. That's like a fulcrum point, but even more so because it's at the very end of a fault line. That's a fault tip quake, we could call it, because it's the very tip of the fault. That's close enough. It's not right on that red line, but that is right where a lot of the pressure is relieved right there. That is the tip of the fault quake right there. Meanwhile, we need to see more activity through this area. Etna is going off, shooting all kinds of stuff, displaying. When you look at that eruption, it's displaying that's a good display of the pressure that's down below. When you see that curtain just shooting into the air way up there for a long time, that's an indication there's a lot of pressure built up underneath there. Now let's land here again with our 7.0. They had a slight tsunami alert for it, but it didn't produce anything. What it did produce is a 5.1 right there at 35. Another 5.1 there at 56, a 4.4 right there at 65, and a 4.3 at 75. Now this looks more like aftershock activity from a quake. This is not a quake swarm. This looks more like aftershock activity, and everybody's like, screw that. What's on the ocean floor, Brian? Okay, we'll zoom in. What is this on the ocean floor? Bunch of cracks and valleys and stuff. Okay. But meanwhile, we're doing good earthquake right there, 7.0, 7.2 indication. And then that hit right when our G3 hit. Okay. We got hit by that object when it came by, it interacted with our magnetic field and enhanced our weather as well. So let me kind of X out of some of these to get through that one. That one. We might come back to that one. We might come back to that one too. A volcano page. Will it open with an earthquake one? All right, here we go. 34 erupting and 31 in unrest. That's still 65. All right, if I'd have told you back when all this stuff started happening to me, 7 years later, we'd have 65 active volcanoes, you would have said, Brian, you're crazy. Well, here we are in Crazyville, and I'm still normal. Nope, This is normal, and I'm crazy about you. There we go. Volcanoes today. Let's dance. Shibaloosh up in the Conchagna. Going active again. Shibaloosh. Ooh, that's a scary looking picture right there. Can we zoom in on that? Well, we'll come back to that. I got to read the articles. Come on and check out this spooky looking picture. Yeah, Shibaloosh. Explosive activity continues. Tokyo warned of an all volcanic ash plume that rose to how high, folks? Yeah, 28,000 feet out of Shibaloosh on the Kamchatka. We had a 7.0, 7.2 right next to this. 28,000. Shibaloosh jumps onto the list at 28,000 feet. Okay? That's our opener. Ebeco, tomato, just did a 12,000 foot eruption. IBU, 7,000. Severu, 15,000, maxing out at its 15, okay. White Island, New Zealand, eruption, continuous low-level eruption, okay. Fuego, 14,000 feet. Sangay going off at 20, Reventador 14,000, and Sabancaya to 22,000. And that was just in the last few minutes. Okay, because here's the 17th. Here's today. So let's check out what was today and is now yesterday because, well, time just flies here at this channel. Look at all the volcanoes going off. Remember this region right through here from our deep quakes? It's all quiet. There's no quakes in that part of the plate boundary system because of all those volcanoes right there. Zelensky, 60 to 90 earthquakes occurring daily because of pressure underneath. Shibaloosh, 23,000 feet earlier, and then another one at 28. This should be the same one. It's not. This one's 23. The other one said 28, right? I made you guys read it too. So we've had two good blasts out of Shibaloosh, a 23 and a 28. Luatobi, meanwhile, 10,000 feet. That's pretty good for that one. 15 out of Semeru again. Dukono, 8,000 feet. Hang on. White Island, still this continuous low-level eruption. Popocatépetl, 22, right next to Mexico City. That mountain right there just went off at 22. So Popo jumps back on the list at 22. Santa Guido pumping 13. Fuego 14. Most of these are in the 10s to 20s, thousands. Nevada del Ruiz waking up. Gas emissions up. Nevada del Ruiz is farting. Sangay still going. Reventador, Sabancaya, 24,000 feet. Are you kidding me? All right, there's your volcanic activity. We have that list at the end. It's 65 volcanoes on the surface and another, well, double 65. That'd be 130. So now 130 some odd volcanoes underwater as well as the 65 on land, which makes for very wild weather. Let's get into that, shall we? Bing. Now we can close those out. Okay, let me load that up for a second. Now, with the geomagnetic enhancement, with particulate count, with new moisture being evaporated into the air by the hot oceans, okay, that you got to remember that produces more moisture, more fog, more steam rising into the air. So it puts a higher a higher water concentration percentage in the air. Okay, the air is getting thicker with water, and it can hold more water like a sponge. The air is like a sponge; it can hold more water, and the sponge being made out of particulates, we got more particulates in the air now, so you got a bigger sponge that holds more water. Thus, every storm, when squeezed out, produces higher volumes of water, stronger storms. Oh, yada, yada, yada. Same thing every night, Brian. Just do the forecast, man. Sorry, I'm backing up here. I'm getting impatient here. Did we get them all? Yeah, we did. Okay, good. So, our current conditions, nighttime of August 17th, right here. We're having this severe weather up in Washington right now. Also, I want to pop open the Venture Sky. Keyboard, Venture Sky. There we go. I would have had it open earlier, but my poor little secondhand used laptop, not the strongest little guy in the world. Okay, so here we are. Boom. In this area earlier today, we had this event. And you can see this arcing coming down through here, connecting up to our roll type cloud that was here. Okay. Now, there was lightning going on inside this structure. Whether this is a computer glitch, one of our long tubular roll clouds, whatever, it was showing lightning and stuff earlier. I want to go back to when it first started, please. You can see it coming all the way down through here. Whoops, where's the next frame? And when you see this arc, our storm is right on the very edge. Let me try this. Okay, so the arc comes up through here and goes out that way. And that hurricane's right on the very edge of it. Okay, so our geomagnetic storm caused some enhancement in whether it formed this weather tube or formed a glitch in their sensors. I'll let you be the judge of that. I want to come back to about here, I think it was 130. So it was right about here, I think. Somewhere right around in here when we first got impact. And you can see this curvature of this storm, and then it goes into this little area, connects to the hurricane here, and then goes right straight into this. Okay, so it did something, enhance the weather, or did something to their satellite imagery. You be the judge. But earlier, I want to get it to like 2:50. It was like around 3 o'clock here, where this line seems to be causing storm activity around it. So here's your structure line, and you got lightning in the structure and off to the side. They don't have radar that covers every inch of ground in this country, but here the line continues in this region, and you can see that there's lightning and activity going on and other storm activity that's outside of the line intermingling with it. All right, so computer glitch, I don't know. But then you see these storms that are still in that line being enhanced with thunderstorm activity. You go a little further north, even these small little pop-ups are showing lightning. that's in that line. Now we've seen these satellite images from the space station from the ISS of a big cloud, a white line cloud that runs the whole length of the planet like that. We might see another one of those structures again here. And this one's partially curved too. It's not straight. It kind of curves up, points right at our hurricane. This one continues, it points right down at the hurricane. So this is the continuation of the arc. There's no satellite or radar imagery over Greenland here, but this is where we have our backward rotating air, just kind of wind coming out of nowhere effect. And it's on the outside of that sphere. Here's the other part of the edge. Then you see rotation going this way on the inside of it, and then on the out, rotation going the other way. So something is interacting with our magnetic field, either that or, well, I'll let you be the judge, but I think what we're seeing here is our weather enhancement in a different type of form. Instead of just enhancing thunderstorms, it created this big long roll cloud that went all the way down there like that. So, and you see the wind patterns are kind of going along with it a little bit too. So something happened there. Okay. You can come over here and mess around with it too. This is where we saw the wave anomaly or the wave anomaly thing out here. So this is the same site, and they're known for their accuracy. So kind of strange how this all lines up with our hurricane is definitely there. Okay. And this is at the time we got hit with the G3 storm and the earthquake at the same time. Okay. So severe weather up there right now in Washington. It'll be out by the morning, noon tomorrow, convection tomorrow. Watch out through there. Okay. Come back here, you. I want this G1. Okay. Let's pray that it is just a G1 tomorrow and we don't have any stronger enhancement and get a G4. Okay. Because we saw a 0 to a 3 jump. We could see a 1 to a 4 jump, and it won't surprise us here. Might surprise everybody else. Pray I'm wrong. Pray it doesn't happen. Okay. We can already see another little something happening right here. But back to the weather. So enhancement on the 18th, whether it's 3 or 4, let's get back up. That's the morning of the 18th. Small little pop-ups up there. Anywhere around, that's noon. You see how it went from morning and just blossomed by noon. There's severe weather up there in Canada. Convection scattered, these little pockets here, some back in this region too. Watch out for enhancement to that. Nighttime, possible enhancement to that. And then morning of the 19th. Noon, convection, nighttime. 20, noon, convection, nighttime. 21, noon, convection, nighttime. Now, we're seeing stuff coming off the sun today and, well, already into tomorrow. So you could see possible enhancement. This could possibly try or change. Now, from here on out, we don't know what's coming off the sun. So we can't add any kind of enhancement. Therefore, our predictions from here on out are very shaky. So we're just going to march forward anyways. We're going into morning of the 22nd, noon, convection, nighttime. 22, noon, convection, nighttime. 23, noon, convection, nighttime. 24, no, 25, sorry. Noon, convection, nighttime. 26, what the heck? All right, convection of the 24th, nighttime of the 24th, morning of the 25th, noon of the 25th. See this stuff up here in Canada? See how this low is swirling? It's taking this warm, moist air all the way up here and then spinning it backwards into cold air. Watch out for this effect right here. This is going to be dangerous right there at noontime of the 25th if that unfolds. Then we go into the convection, nighttime, Morning of the 26th, noon, convection, nighttime, 27, noon, convection, nighttime, 28, noon, convection of the 28th there, nighttime. You see this activity way up in Canada. That's what I'm talking about. There's a new tornado alley because there's cold air up there, cooler air at least. Convection, nighttime, morning of the 30th, noon, convection, nighttime, 31, noon, convection, nighttime. First, you see this kind of similar flow, just doing the same thing over and over. There is way out there, okay? But you see how this stuff rotates up and gets pulled in like that? Watch out for that kind of activity right there happening too. All right, really quick, I wanted to go back to this just really quick. So, very interesting how this structure just kind of shows up on the day we have our G3 storm. It actually hooks up with our hurricane that's actually there. This part, we see this weird rotation here coming out of there. Meanwhile, right on the boundary, you see this thing rotating in with it. And then this thing rotating out and giving and like donating air to it out of nowhere. All right, there you go. That's all she wrote. We're done with the weather. We're done with the astrophysics, geophysics, weather. Now, everybody take a deep breath and we'll get into the, not astrophysics, but our metaphysics. Okay. The real metaphysics, the real work that really works on your soul, the only thing that works on your soul, the real metaphysics. Okay, April 17th, 2020. Bing, 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 bing. Boom, boom, boom. I just kept taking pictures. Sometimes the sun breaks through the clouds and they come out more black and white, and then the sun goes over shady a little bit and they turn out a little bit blue. This one was tilted. I just tilted it 90 degrees there, so you can see the face. You don't have to, tilt your head. Then it turns kind of more into the little lion face starting to change here. We got other events happening at the very same time this is going on. I keep switching back and forth because this event over here is unfolding at the same time this is going on. Okay. Trying to take as many pictures as I can, keep my arms stable while all the blood rushes out of them. And my heart really starts to pound. You can see it turns into this little goblin character covering one eye right here. Okay, you see that these are real pictures, real clouds. That's why I'm kind of flicking through these really quick so that you can see that these are indeed real pictures, real clouds. This is a real event that took place. Okay, that's why it's important for you guys to get a grasp and get a good foothold of your foundation here. Okay, hold on to this. This is your rock. The future's coming, and they're going to try to say, "Oh, you're genetically manipulated by the Palladians or the Anunnaki, and you're mind or slaves to mine gold or whatever kind of BS." Don't fall for it. Those are your false prophets right there that you're looking for. It's not me. Okay, this is me in the clouds. You're caught up with me in the clouds. And we're going to get a little more caught up here. Get rid of all that other stuff and bring up some other good pictures really quick for some reading. How's the chat doing in there? Oh, Princess Ophelia, I love you, Soul Tribe, not afraid. Black magic, Jesus Christ, put in a sleeping orb. Yep, they don't have a clue what is going on the globe. Yeah, I love you guys. All right, you guys are participating in the chat, having a good time. All right, cool. So back to my channel real quick. Bingo. Bingo. And well, we got that one pulled up already. Oh, we can do this one. real quick.
Here's her eye, here's her forehead, her snub little nose, here's the bottom jaw. She's smiling, she's looking down, and she's holding a baby. And here's the baby's head right here. Here's the face, the back of the head. Here's her arm cupped around like this, and she's holding the baby.
Okay, you guys can see the lady holding the baby, right? See the new little baby right there? It's a new little spirit. Okay, it's kind of like the new spirit being born inside of you. So we'll leave that one kind of right, something like that. There's something to read too. Okay. Real spiritual event really happened. You can see the date up here, October 4th of 2017. Your Revelation 12 baby was born. Okay. This is the day my life changed. Okay. So when we're doing readings, you can think of that one as well. Let's open up the one with the heart too. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you for your patience. I just gotta. If I tried to do all this before opening the show, none of the pages would work. So I'm just grateful this laptop is hanging in there and hasn't been.
With generative AI on AWS, companies are
just when I was about to say it. Okay. Now, this event we explained, there's a better image right there at the end. Okay. All right, it's pulling his shirt open, showing his heart. It's radiating out these waves, making my face. All right, so there's our good images to read to right there. This little baby, spiritual entity born, just like the Revelation 12 said it would be. Okay, everybody saw the star alignment, but they missed the dragon, and I showed you the dragon. Okay, now I'm showing you the baby being born. Okay, that's your Savior returning right there. That should bring peace to your heart, understanding that, hey, this really came true. Okay. All right. We got that. We got this. We got that. Everything. Enough talking. Start notes. Right there. I don't think we'll pull up the moon one tonight. Sometimes it sends a weird vibe. All right. There we go. Kind of somewhere in between where you can see the upright version and then the tilted original version. We'll even kind of lower a little light there. Make it better. All right. Now let me get my lighting going. Everybody get all comfortable. Get settled in. Get your... Take some deep breaths. Pretty cool that we get to do this, that we get to meet in the air like this, because I have a lot for you. And boy, do I got some stuff for you. Where did I want to go? That one first? Or say, okay, so end with that. That's the very first. Okay. Got it all laid out, everybody. Here we go. I know what's going on. I see everything. I feel you guys. Remember, I'm like inside out. My feelers are all out and exposed like this one big walking raw nerve, okay? And I know that things are going wrong in your life and that things make you anxious. So when something in your life or your thoughts make you anxious, come to me and talk about it. Bring me your prayers and petitions with thanksgiving, saying, "Thank you, Jesus, for this opportunity to trust you more. And though the lessons of trust that I send to you come wrapped in difficulties, okay, they're lessons of trust I send to you. They come wrapped as difficulties. The benefits that far outweigh the cost. Your well-developed trust will bring you many blessings, not the least of which is my peace. I have promised to keep you in perfect peace to the extent that you trust in me. They're proportional. The more you trust in me, the more peace you get. Okay, they're proportional. So again, I have promised to keep you in perfect peace to the extent that you trust in me. Now, the world has it backwards. They're teaching that peace is the result of having enough money, possessions, insurance, security items, prep items. Yeah, they're seeking security through possessions, through prep items, through security systems. They have it backwards. I keep you in perfect peace to the extent that you trust in me. My peace, however, is such an all-encompassing gift that it is independent of all your circumstances. Okay? This is independent of all circumstances. This perfect peace is independent of all your circumstances. No matter what happens, it does not change this. It does not change your destination. You will have victory. Do not throw it away. Do not fall into the Anunnaki, Billy Carson, gonna do a... Watch out for that crap. Really. I am showing you what really happens. This is the real deal. Everybody else read a bunch of books that were 1,000-year-old, and they're buried on, and then all of a sudden it's resurrected. No, this is what's resurrected. Okay, don't fall for that garbage. You'll know. Ask your spirit. Ask your spirit inside you, and it will answer you. It should answer you pretty quickly. Okay, your well-developed trust will bring you many blessings. The peace that is proportional to the trust. Okay, my peace is such an all-encompassing gift. It is independent of your circumstances. And though you lose sight of everything else, if you gain my peace, you are indeed rich. Do you understand how that works? If you give up everything, if you give up looking for your peace in money, possessions, insurance, and all your prep and your security items, if you give up looking for peace in that and start looking for peace over here, if you lose everything else, you will gain my peace, and then you are indeed rich. You're rich in ways that you just hit the lottery. You it makes the lottery look like a tiddlywinks game. When you see that image right there, I also showed you my birthmark. I am the resurrection and the life. All lasting life emanates from me. All lasting life emanates from me. Okay? I am the resurrection and I am the life. And all lasting life emanates from me. People search for life in many wrong ways. They're chasing after fleeting pleasures, accumulating possessions or wealth or power, trying to deny the inevitable effects of aging as well. Meanwhile, I freely offer you abundant life. I offer abundant life to everyone who turns toward me. And as you come to me and take my yoke upon you, I fill you with my very life. This is how I choose to live in the world. This is how I choose to live in the world and accomplish my purposes. Just like we're doing right now. Just like this. You are in my presence, in perfect peace. You come to me and you take my yoke upon you. Then you are filled with my very life now. You know I'm here. You understand that this is all real. I'm the one. I'm here and I'm talking to you. That's how I fill you with my life. And this is how I choose to live in this world and accomplish my purposes. I have to do it this way. I have to do it this way. I can't do it any other way. You guys won't understand, right? Too complex, but this is how I choose to live in the world and accomplish my purposes. This is also how I bless you with joy unspeakable and full of glory. See this? That's unspeakable and full of glory. This is how I bless you with the unspeakable joy and glory. This is how I do it. I show you my face in the clouds. And then you get caught up with my face in the clouds. And then we meet in the air. All of a sudden, you realize who you are, who I am. And we're like, okay. Because I am the resurrection and the life. Okay? This is how I bless you with joy that's unspeakable. It's hard to express the joy when you see this, huh? You're just shocked. It's unspeakable and full of glory, isn't it? The joy is mine. You hear me smiling in my voice over here. I'm having a blast. The joy is mine and the glory is mine. But now I bestow them on you. Do you see? The joy that I have, I'm giving it to you now because you see your destination. You see your victory. I am sharing my joy with you guys. Don't you get it? The joy is mine and the glory is mine, but I bestow them on you as you live in my presence, inviting me to live fully in you. Pretty cool how we live together, huh? You guys are getting to know me. How do you like me so far? Pretty cool guy? You guys are getting to know me. And the joy is mine, and the glory is mine. But I bestow that on you now, because you live in my presence, don't you? You are inviting me into your life. You're inviting me to live fully in you. You guys are awesome. You're doing so well. I'm so happy for you. Now, when we're making so much progress, you guys are making leaps, bounds, baby steps are huge baby steps in this realm. Do you understand? Any kind of baby step is like a milestone for anybody. Is that the one? No, I'm on this one, I guess. All right, I guess we're going back to that image. It's okay. You know it's going to be okay. You can refuse to worry. Again, this word refuse. Okay? Stomp your foot on the ground, pound your fist on the desk, and say, I refuse to worry. I refuse to worry. I am telling you, refuse to worry. In this world, there will always be something enticing you to worry, isn't there? And that's the nature of this fallen, fractured planet. Things are not as they should be. So the temptation to be anxious is constantly with you, isn't it? The temptations to be anxious are bombarding you at every angle. Even this show can cause temptations to be anxious until you get to this part at the very end. You see all those volcanoes out there to make you anxious. You see earthquakes and weather patterns matching up with this. That can make you anxious. But no. No. Refuse to be worried. This world is like this anxious factory. The temptation to be anxious is constantly with you. It's trying to worm its way into your mind. The best defense is continual communication with me. Richly seasoned with thanksgiving, by the way. Okay? When I'm out doing my prayers before this show, I go through a list in my head of all the things that I'm thankful for today. Before I ask and petition, I give a good list of thankfuls. And then I tell, that whole list of thankfuls is all because of the sacrifice. If it wasn't for those the sacrifice, I wouldn't have all those thankfuls. So I'm thankful for the sacrifice and all the blessings like the protection, the love, the friends, new people in your family, all kinds of different things that you have in your life that you're thankful for. You give a little thankful list and then say, Lord, now I ask that you give me your peace. Now I petition. All right. So thankful prayers first and then petition. And you got no reason to worry. You can refuse to be worried. The best defense is that continual communication with me. And when your communication is richly seasoned with thanksgiving, then awareness of my presence fills your mind with light and peace. And when that awareness of my presence does indeed fill your mind with light and peace, it leaves no room for fear. Because it fills your mind with light and peace. There's no room for fear. This awareness of my presence here now with you lifts you up above your circumstances, enabling you to see the problems from my perspective. Remember what I was saying? You're seeing things from my perspective. You're living close to me. So the awareness lifts you above your circumstances, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it? That's why you're here, because you have found that it does indeed lift you above your circumstances. It does indeed enable you to see your problems from my perspective. It does indeed enable you to live close to me, and together we can keep the wolves of worry at bay. I said, together we can keep the wolves of worry at bay. Refuse to worry. All right, I'm going to close with this one, okay? And this is an important one for all of the people that are here, you that made it to this part, or even in replay that come just to this part for, this message. That's fine. I want you guys to understand something that's the most important. I love you for who you are, not for what you do. Many voices vie for control of your mind. Okay, we got the mainstream media, we got the war machine vying for control of your mind, especially when you try to sit in silence. You're going through TikTok, you're trying to sit in silence, but it's hard. There's so much going on. You got to know what's going on. If you don't keep up, you're going to be in the wake, right? And so I know that there are constantly things trying to distract you, especially when you try to sit in silence. So you must learn to discern what is my voice and what is not. Ask my spirit to give you this discernment. Because many of my children run around in circles trying to obey the various voices directing their lives. And this results in fragmented, frustrating patterns of living. Do you guys want to live in these frustrated, fragmented patterns that you so used to living in? Don't you want to break free from that? Because many of my children still run around in circles trying to obey the various voices, like Billy Carson and all these other voices and all these other guys, right? Don't fall into this trap. Don't fall into the trap of living that fragmented, frustrating pattern of life. Walk closely with me each moment. That means my perspective each moment, listening for my directives, and enjoying my companionship. We're on a journey together. This is like you got your best friend, your invisible friend along on the a real life journey. And that's why that's why it's important to stay in the continual communication with me also. So you're not the fragmented, frustrating pattern of life. Okay. Walk closely with me each moment, listening for my directives and enjoying my companionship. Again, refuse to let other voices tie you up in knots. I'm a big guy about refusing. Refuse to worry. Refuse to let other voices tie you up in knots. Okay? My sheep know my voice and follow me wherever I lead. Now, my sheep, I'm not calling you sheep, but you are a flock or a family who subscribes and comes to this show, though. So, like, you would follow somebody on Facebook or whatever, you follow me on YouTube. So, my followers know my voice and follow me wherever I lead. And when they do, they find victory. Don't you? So happy for you guys. Yeah, finally getting it. Some of you people are finally getting it, finally practicing it. And then when you find the results, you find me. You're like, oh, no way. And yes, this whole time. Whoops. Even rock the tripod, just saying yes this whole time. All right. And that's why you guys do indeed get the peace that transcends all your circumstances. You are salvaging your days, and with my help, you regain composure, you salvage your day, you are practicing the art of salvation, aren't you? Yeah. And your faith is now complete. You now know. I complete your faith. I make everything new. I put a new baby inside your heart. There's a new spirit inside you now. There's a new baby that was just born inside of you that's growing now. Okay? You have the Holy Spirit in you. You got this heart of love that's just radiating out love. You're starting to reflect my face. And you can put your face in here with a crown too. Okay? You're going to be seeing glory. Just keep fighting. Keep going. Okay? Something messes up your day, try to salvage it, try to recover it. And then how are you supposed to brighten up somebody else's day if you're in a snotty mood or whatever? Okay? So you got to try to recover your days, overcome your adversity. See your adversity as a challenge, overcome it, and rise above it. You'll achieve a spiritual achievement and collect a crown, and then continue. And you will just have peace while everybody else is losing their mind and turning zombified. Because I see some people, they seem switched off. They're not even conscious anymore. They kind of walk around like a robot, zombie, not even I walk with a cane and I creep along. It's painful to watch me walk, yet everybody will cut right in front of me and cut me off and stumble and do it. It's like, are you guys not aware that I'm almost paralyzed here? I can trying to walk and get up on a curb. You don't need to, bum rush me and shoulder check me, do you? It's just, I see society's changing. You can see it too. And you can see the change in yourself now since being here, huh? You have indeed changed. And I said a while back, change isn't change until you have actually changed. And you guys have actually changed. You have a spirit inside of you now. You have power now. You have peace that transcends. You have a new spirit born within you. Okay? And this stuff follows me everywhere I go. Still to this day. Every day I go outside, it's, what's going to be following me today? But I've gotten used to it now by now, okay? This is going almost in my 7th year now, so almost 7 years of tribulation for me and nobody believing me. That was the odd thing. It's like, oh, how could you not believe me? These are real images. So I've been through a lot of, adversity myself because of this and nobody believing. But for the people who do believe me and have trusted me and have found peace, the more you trust me, the more peace you get, have found that and have found who I am. And for those people, you are indeed caught up with me in the clouds. You are raptured. Keep telling you, everybody keeps using that word. Be careful of the people that keep using that word because they're mistaken, and I can see why Hollywood and school and church and everybody taught the wrong idea that you're going to turn into a little ball of light and zip up into the air. And then everybody else would be left behind, right? Why don't you go to the Bible real quick? I want you to see who gets taken away first, the tares or the wheat. Go look at the Bible and find out who is taken up and taken away. Is it the tares or the wheat? Hmm. You don't want to be ripped up and taken away. That means you're a tare. You're caught up with me in the clouds. You're already raptured, baby. You're complete now. You know who you are. You know your identity now. You are a child of God. Don't believe me and don't be one. Or trust me and be the child of God that you really are. And don't fall for this Anunnaki, all the other stuff. The tares get taken away first, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're left behind, well, I thought that was a bad thing. Wouldn't that be a good thing if you were left behind with me here still? Ooh, you guys better do some studying and be careful what you're watching and who you're listening to, because a lot of people are waiting on this rapture and they're like, oh, it's got to be happening right now. This is the time frame. All the signs are there. The rapture's any moment. Well, yeah, the rapture's every moment. For the last 6.5 or almost 7 years now has been rapture. All you have to do is look up or look on YouTube, come over here, get caught up with me in the clouds. We'll meet in the air, and we can do some work on your spirit, right? On your soul. Oh, I love you guys. You're awesome. And hopefully you're coming to love me. I'm just your regular old guy. I try to be a humble guy and live my life accordingly. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I've learned to correct mistakes, look at them as opportunities, take the tools that I've learned and use my tools, my toolbox, and pass that knowledge on to the people that are dearest to me, to the followers that know my voice. See, my followers know my voice. They see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. They get caught up with me in the clouds, don't they? And then they meet me in the air of cyberspace because I can't, like, physically right now, I'm kind of almost disabled here, but I can't, like, come over and knock on your door and come hang out with you. I got a lot of other things going on. So that's why we got to meet in the air. Okay, we got to meet in the air of cyberspace, which is streaming live on YouTube. Okay, that's the way I chose to do this. Okay, and that's the way I chose to give you my gift as well. I love you all. I miss you all. And until my next show, I will be back. I am a man of my word. You know, the word. Yeah, not many people are a man of their word anymore. Oh, yeah, I'll text you. I'll call you back. No, I am a man of my word. I said I would be back, and I am back. I am back, and I am soon to come too. So I love you all, miss you all. Until my next show, I will be back. I'm already back. Can't you tell?